Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to the first episode of Learning to be Autistic. I've had this series in mind for a while now because I was diagnosed with autism at 21 and it immediately felt like I had just double the amount of stuff to learn and figure out about myself that I did before. Because not only was I like figuring out who I am as a person and who I am as me, I also had to figure out who I was as an autistic person and what that meant for me and how that would affect me and how it had been affecting me without me knowing, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm definitely still figuring out. Finding out that I'm autistic's been a huge learning process for me, and I think it probably is for a bunch of us, and it doesn't get spoken about enough at all. For this first episode, I really wanted to talk about stimming, because that was the thing where I was like, I don't do that. Pure and simple, I don't stim. I have a bunch of the other autistic traits, but I don't stim. Boy, what a lie. What a lie. Like, I really genuinely thought that I didn't stim at all. And it was during my assessment that I am a chronic leg bouncer. I constantly bounce my foot. And I always just thought, well, yeah, I've got anxiety. Like, of course I bounce my foot. And then the guy that was diagnosing me with autism was like, well, that's a stim. You're stimming there, you're anxious, so you're bouncing your leg because that helps you to focus on that. And that's stimming. And I was like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Because that immediately made me realise that there was a bunch of other stuff I did and do that is also stimming. Some of my stims have changed throughout my life, some haven't. Thinking back on my childhood, that was definitely when I had like the most obvious stims. I remember so many times when like my parents or my brothers would be like, hey, what are you singing? And it'd just be some little song I made up because it made me feel better to like sing a little song while I was having to get ready for school or get ready to do this or whatever, you know. I was stimming in a stressful situation using my voice. One of my big stims as well that started in childhood was just, I've done that for as long as I can remember. And like to this day, if I'm like on a train or on a bus, it's predominantly when I'm out in public that I do that one. It just makes me feel better. But I didn't think for a moment that it was a stim. I wasn't like, oh, it's about like my fingertips or my thumb and it's about like the movement and focus. I just thought it was another anxiety coping mechanism. I also have had a lot of like mouth stims. I consistently throughout high school just constantly chewed the inside of my cheek. Like it would contour my entire face. Like I'd just be like, and I did that until I was 15, and I was out in the town that I went to high school in, and a full-ass grown man turned to me, saw me chewing my cheek, and just started going, well, staring like into my eyes. It was one of the most uncomfortable moments of my life, and I haven't done it since because of that dude, so thank you. Not what the video's about, but like, dude, the microaggressions that you get for like autistic traits are insane. And I didn't even think about that until now. Like, up until this very moment, I did not think about the fact that a man was essentially ableist to me in the street in a way that caused me to lose one of the stims that made me feel better. So that really sucks. I also always have and still do just run my tongue around my teeth. Don't know what that one is, that's a stim. And obviously for a lot of us, the main reason that we stop doing certain stims is either we grow out of them or we're shamed out of them, whether that's through ABA, whether that's through some dickhead in the street, whether it's through bullying, you know, we have them taken off us essentially. And for me, the big ones were dancing. Well, I say dancing, we'll get to that in a sec, and singing. Obviously, just singing in public is something that's weird. I don't think it should be, like who gives a shit, honestly? But it is something that's considered odd in public. So that was a stim that I lost when I was quite young. But I remember a lot of times just like singing to myself in primary school, and it made me feel so much better. I think it's really shitty that I don't feel able to do that. Obviously I could. I was gonna say I can't do that. I could, but I wouldn't, because it'd make me feel horrifically uncomfortable and people would probably be mean about it. Now, when it comes to dancing, again, this isn't self-deprecation. I'm not like shitting on my dad moves, because my dad moves are hot shit, let me tell you. It's more so that I dance a little bit and then I mostly just jump up and down or spin. You know, and that was fine at kids' discos. People kind of look at you weird when you're doing it in a club or something. I've never done it in a club and I never would. But dancing is the stim that I do most often. I do it almost every day. And you know, I feel like shame about it. I feel really embarrassed talking about this, and that's really silly. I shouldn't have to feel like that. But it's basically a case of I put on songs that I really love, usually ones that have something to do with my special interests, which means that it's essentially an auditory stim. I will listen to the same songs on repeat while I do this because it brings me comfort. Auditory stim. I'll put it up loud because, you know, loud music's cool when you're in control of it and you can monitor it to your sensory issues at any given moment. So I have it nice and loud to drown out the rest of the world. And then I bounce, or I spin, or I just jump about, or I do my dad moves, and it's all a fun, groovy time. Anytime I get home and my partner isn't in, that's what I do. It just gets rid of like all the negative energy from having to go outside and do social things in public or anything like that. I get home, I put on this music that makes me feel better. I do these little moves that make me feel better. And it's all gone. I'm good then, you know? I do a lot of that as well, I've just noticed. I like flick my hands a lot. But all these little things are stims. And I think one of my most obvious ones, and the one that my parents used to get annoyed about, is if you're watching TV with me, if we're watching a movie, if it's one that I really enjoy, especially like Doctor Who and Ashes to Ashes and Lord of the Rings, obviously. When it gets to the parts that I really love, I can't help just doing my little wiggle. You gotta just wiggle. And again, it's one that like embarrasses me. Like I've had people, like my school used to do a school trip where if you had enough attendance, you could go to the cinema. And they took us to see Hugo one year, and I'd already seen Hugo like 4 times in the cinema. Big Asa Butterfield fan, loved that movie. So obviously, you know, I'm sat there watching it, not paying any attention to myself because it's a dark cinema and I wasn't expecting to be bullied again, and did my little wiggle. And next thing I know, the whole row of kids is doing it and laughing at me and being really mean. And that's honestly probably like the only stim that I had for a positive emotion. And I didn't do it for years after. I've only really recently started doing that again upon realising that it was stimming and not just some like weird teenage thing. So I have absolutely had to reteach myself how to stim, because in high school, one of my main ways that I like de-stressed after school was putting music on and dancing around. And I just had the silly idea of like, well, yeah, that's what teenage girls do. But now I'm 18, I'm not some silly little teenager, and it's time for that to stop. So I didn't do it for years. And it was, you know, once I started doing it again, it makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so much better. And I think it's just really sad that due to people being ableist essentially and being rude and imitating my traits, I lost something that made me feel better. I lost something kind of cute, I guess, that I did when I felt happy. Like I literally lost the ability to fully process happiness essentially. I mean, and I know that it's like you were just watching a movie, you only did it while watching TV, and it's like, yeah, I was happy. Like, why does it matter what the occasion was that made me happy? I was happy and people took that away from me, and I've had to relearn how to almost live with less shame about myself so I can stim in the ways that bring me comfort or help me to represent emotions or help me to understand what emotion I'm actually feeling. Sorry if my cat's distracting. You know, and even the little things like playing a song over and over and over for the auditory stim. I was so often shamed for that. The amount of people have been like, play a different song. And it's like, dude, I'm the one listening to it here, you know, it's on my earphones. I know that you can hear like enough to know it's the same song over and over, but you're not listening to it. But I also think that it was a really good step for me to be able to relearn these things, you know. I think it put me a step closer to being truly comfortable with who I am and actually understanding who I am, both just as me and as an autistic person. Because I know they're one and the same, but they are one and the same, but I didn't know one of them was there for 21 years of my life, you know. For 21 years of my life, I didn't know that I had to figure out myself as an autistic person as well as a person. So one side of that's a little more developed than the other. And I want to take a minute here to point out as well that neurotypical people also stim. It's just that they're the annoying ones, like clicking a pen or tapping a pencil on the table and things like that. So their stims are societally acceptable because, you know, it's society that does it. But my stims are worthy of bullying from fully grown men. And like I say, I'm totally still learning. I could have a million more stims than this. You know, a bunch of these I did for years before even recognising that they were stims. Straight up until I walked into that office to be diagnosed and he pointed out my leg being a stim, I didn't think I had a single thing that I did that counted as stimming. And there's still lots of types of stimming that I haven't tried. And I'm gonna have to look into it and give it a go and see if it fits for me. And, you know, I think there's some degree of shame that comes with having to look up symptoms of something you have. It can feel like you're a total imposter, but that's not the case. These are things that we would have naturally done a lot of the time, and we were told not to, or we were shamed out of doing it. And, you know, I want to refine those parts of myself. If someone thinks I need to be ashamed of it, that's their issue, not mine anymore. And I want to know who I am. I want to know what feels good to me. I want to know what can help regulate me. And I think this series is a great place for me to be able to do that. And I think doing a series like this will really give me the chance to look into more things like that. You know, maybe we get to have a whole video of me learning some new stims and seeing what fits. I don't know. I just still so much feel like I'm learning a lot about autism and myself as an autistic person. Like I've said a bunch of times in this video, I'm not going to go through it again. But I'm really excited about this series. I'm really excited to finally be starting it. So I'm going to wrap this first episode up here. If you have any suggestions for episodes you'd like to see, please do leave them below. I'd love to know what kind of stuff you want to see. If you're interested in seeing my future episodes, please do remember to subscribe so that you'll be able to find me. But for now, thank you a lot for watching this one. It's just still so nice to have some people actually watching my videos. It's unique, it's a unique kind of feeling, but I really appreciate you all being here. And I really hope that, you know, maybe we can learn something together through this series. We can all figure ourselves out a bit. I don't know if anyone else needs this. I need this, basically. I need this, so we're doing it. If you don't want to be along for the ride, that's up for you. But whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a good day. And, you know, I hope that you stim a bit today. Whether you're neurotypical or autistic, I hope you have like or ADHD or any other neurodiversity, I don't bloody know. Whoever you are, I hope that you have like a little stim stash of some sort of whatever makes you feel better. And tell me what it is, tell me how you stim. I don't know. Let's just have a little discussion about stimming in the comments. I've had some great little convos in my comments recently. It's really nice to talk to the people that are watching me because like y'all know stuff about me. It's time for me to get to know you. Let's sign off here. It's been great talking to you. Otie's been here for a lot of it, but I'm trying out a slightly new angle, so I don't know if you saw him, but here he is. He's gorgeous. Do you want to go? I thought he was going to jump straight off, but he's kind of relaxed, honestly. I don't know what to do now. Oh, there we go. Hope you have a great day.